Now we welcome in a very proud man in his own right, Roger Stone, Republican political consultant, correspondent with the Daily Caller, editor of StoneZone.com, and author of The Clintons' War on Women, and his latest book, Jeb and the Bush Crime Family, the inside story of an American dynasty. Hello, Roger.
Steve, what an exciting day politically, man. A lot going on.
Yeah, well, yes. Let's start with this whole, I mean, you're not surprised. I'm not surprised. Trump is now Hitler. This latest nonsense over this salute where he says, raise your right hand. Since when is raise your right hand Hitler-like?
Yeah, and additionally, you had people this past weekend, because he has phenomenal turnout at these rallies, comparing these to the enormous Nuremberg rallies that Hitler had. Look, this is part and parcel of the mainstream media smear of Trump. We've seen this before. In 1964, Senator Barry Goldwater took a European vacation with his wife prior to entering the presidential race, and CBS reported completely falsely that he was meeting with neo-Nazi elements in Germany. We've seen this playbook before. Trump scares the daylights out of the political establishment, the ruling elite, and the media elite, and that's why you have these smears. The good news is the American people don't seem to be buying it. Nobody who knows Trump believes that he is a Nazi or a fascist, or that he was doing anything other than trying to spur turnout for the primaries. I'm sure that his advisors are telling him that, the turnout is going to make an incredible difference.
All right, let me ask you. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. We're done with this too.
Okay. What are you looking for from Michigan tonight? I mean, does the margin of victory for Trump, assuming he wins it, is that going to be significant? If it's very close, if Kasich, next to Ohio, if Kasich comes in strong, does that matter?
But let's see some context. Right now in the United States, you have one of the most expensive and heaviest negative television campaigns in American political history. As I said in an interview last week, the Koch brothers have rounded up as much as $70 million. I now want to increase that. That number is now up to $145 million. I want to be very clear. The money is not the Kochs. They're merely gathering it. Allows them to go on the record and say, oh, it's not us. We're not spending it. But they are corralling it. The Ricketts family, Sheldon Hubbard, Paul Singer. This is ubiquitous. You cannot turn on the television anywhere in the country or the radio or cable and not get an ad attacking Donald Trump. Now, this is having an effect. It is true that the late-breaking voters in the last two rounds of primaries, but particularly the last round, did break overwhelmingly, disproportionately against Trump. So that's the backdrop. I think that Trump will be successful today, but by smaller margins than you think. To me, a win is a win is a win. Michigan is far closer than publicly reported. John Kasich has put very substantial resources and time into the state. I think Trump will pull it out, but don't be looking for a 20-point margin, because I don't think that's going to happen. I do think he'll win Mississippi comfortably. I'd be deeply concerned about Hawaii and Idaho, because as we have proved now in Texas, in Kansas, in Oklahoma, and other states, the Cruz people engage in voter fraud. I am working with something called the Trump Ballot Security Project. We have over 700 sworn complaints of voter fraud in Texas, over 300 in Kansas. There's a pattern here. And as you know, Steve, the caucuses have a more narrow electorate, where there's a premium on organization, where you have they're a different animal than a primary. So I think those are up for grabs, Hawaii and Idaho.
One more. Talk about people coalescing around stopping Trump. Tim Cook, the co-founder, Larry Page, Facebook investor Sean Parker, Tesla Motors CEO. Reportedly, they all met with GOP officials in an effort to stop Trump as well.
Well, but the most incredible news today really has to be Neil Bush, son of President George H.W. Bush, a man who defrauded U.S. taxpayers out of $1.5 billion in the Silverado S&L scale, hasn't endorsed in joining the finance committee of Ted Cruz. extraordinary. Just extraordinary. Steve, I would remind you, Ted Cruz was George W. Bush's chief issue advisor. His wife, Heidi, was the deputy national security advisor to Condoleezza Rice. That's airbrushed out of her wiki bio, but it's an indisputable fact. And then she was the deputy assistant U.S. trade representative under Robert Zoellick. Ted Cruz sounds like a conservative, but he's a globalist. He's the Goldman Sachs candidate. Of that, I have no doubt.
All right, Roger, great to talk to you, my friend. We'll speak to you again very soon. Thank you.
Delighted to be with you as always, Steve.
All right, Roger Stone, ladies and gentlemen.